Every year, the number of problematic families in our country is growing. In such families, alcoholism and drug addiction thrive. And the children suffer most of all. Children run away from these families to live on the street and become homeless and vagrants. Children who have witnessed or been victims of violence in the family eventually carry this negative experience into their own lives and become dangerous to others. Crime is growing among these adolescents. I used to work with street children who lived in cellars, barns. They don't trust adults and are already infected with bad habits.
I came to Ukraine 15 years ago to work with street kids and orphans. I started working at the government shelter and found my heart being broken for these children who didn't have anyone to love them. Our main goal is to rescue the children off the streets and to give them a purpose for their lives. I came from Canada to help you. Because we were working with children at the government shelter, we were allowed to come in there when they let us come in. We didn't have the ability to go in the middle of the night when they were having a problem. We weren't able to help them further do anything with their life because we were restricted by what the shelter, the government, let us do. We dreamt about this center for a long time, so we had a place for these children to come to. So we had a place for their parents to come to, so we could keep families together.
Therefore, it is so important to save these children while they still live with their families. And for this reason, we established Success Center.
There are 4 brown stickers.
Good. Девочки,
in our Success Center, teachers and psychologists work with children 6 days a week. Emphasis is given to individual sessions with each child. Unfortunately, in our city, there are almost no places left where young people can go and spend their time without spending money that are free of charge. Children from poor families love to come to us every day and even come here from other parts of the city. The center has a cook and we try to feed these guys.
My wife Alyona and I have been involved in charity work for a few years, namely with children. Although my wife and I both have university education, Alyona is a lawyer and I am a physicist, one thing unites us, our work with children. We know that children are very talented. If they are given the opportunity and trained, they can reach all sorts of heights. It is important for children to see our personal example. Therefore, we do arts and crafts, play together. We constantly involve them in our lives.
Every child we help has his own dramatic story, his own complexes, his own fate, and many, many tears. Our small team and I personally struggle to get to snatch these children in time from the pit in which they've been trampled down by their parents and the street, to be able to inform parents of their responsibilities towards their children, to have time to replace the tears of pain by smiles of joy.
Я хочу стать ветеринаром.
Здорово, идешь к цели и стаешь ветеринаром.
The center offers an emergency response team. The main focus of our work is to identify cases of violence and oppression of children in families. When we learn from various sources about the facts of violence against children in the family, we immediately go to that place. We assess the situation, document and report it to the appropriate government organizations. We are not interested in destroying families, but on the contrary, in every possible way seek to keep the family together, strive to establish a normal psychological environment in the family.
It is very important that our team works not only with teenagers and preschool children, but also carries out preventive conversations with their parents.
А воно так і буває завжди.
Така була об'явлена біля дверей, там, коло парадного. Ну, я думаю, якісь гуртки, кругом вже гроші, в мене пенсії. Я вирішила знати, що тут ось у мене, кажу, два таких ось шкети, кажу, я оце над ними, як квочка.
We know the situation in every family and try to provide humanitarian assistance according to our resources. We collect and give them food parcels and clothing if necessary. Some families don't even have any bed linen and the kids sleep on the floor, covered with rags. We try to help with this too.
It's important that families stay together. It's important that children have a purpose for their futures. It's important that the parents know how to parent their children. It's important that they know about the love of God, so that love changes the way they look at themselves and they look at their children. Because we showed the love of God to them, we're able to teach them that they're worth something, that they have a future. And because God has given us this ability to have this center, we have a place, a center where they can come to, where they can learn English, where they can learn music, where they can learn about their gifts that God has given them. And those things can be used for their future to be different than their past have been. Their parents have somebody that they can come to, psychological help, help with documents, sociological help, where they can have somebody helping them change their future, help them with being able to provide things with their family. The government has no support. There's no welfare system where they can go to for help. This space is rented. We had a desire to make it look beautiful, because the children come from places where it isn't beautiful. There isn't painted walls. There isn't really nice linoleum on the floors. So through the kindness of Christians in England and their finances, we were able to buy the materials to do this renovation to this space. And because materials are costing more here in Ukraine, we didn't have the money to pay for workers. So our own volunteers did the work to be able to have this place look the way it does. We see the benefits of having the center because the kids can come at any time after school. They can stay as long as they want. They can have crafts to do. They can have someone to talk to. They have a safe environment where we're going to protect them here, where they have somebody to talk to, where they have a small meal, where they have the ability to hang out, get to know people, feel the love of God, see the love of God being put into practice, not being yelled at, not being put in front of the TV, not being put in front of the computer where they just sit and waste their time. They're given things here that they can help with. They don't have the desire to be on the street. If they could come here and learn English, come here and have somebody to play with.
A special place for them. It wasn't a fancy inn. In fact, it wasn't an inn at all.
Children hang up stockings. They hope that Santa Claus will fill the stockings with toys.
Та стараєшся, не дочуваю. Сядь мені на носик та заспівай гучніше свою пісеньку.
Как у вас, как у тебя дела?
Может, родители расстаются.
Они так решили, да?
А родители, они бушуют. Поэтому я решил, что они будут оставаться.
We have 8 people in our team that have given their time and have given their resources to come and help with these children. We try to pay them a salary. We do pay them a salary, but it only works out to about 20 euros a month. Every month it's hard to raise the money to be able to pay the salaries. Even though it's hard to pay the salaries, our workers still are dedicated to be here. The money isn't why they're here. It's not a job for them, it's a ministry. It's because they love their children, it's because they love what they're doing, and because they want to see these children's futures change.
All children enjoy coming to play football. Our football team exists entirely thanks to charitable contributions. The uniform, balls, everything was gathered literally drop by drop. But we already have results. In every man's life, there comes a moment when he realizes that something needs to change to try to make the world a better place. For me, this moment came when I started closely communicating with difficult and needy children. Who needs our attention, support, and kind words more than they do? And when you look at our team and see a spark in the eyes of every little football player, you immediately understand that the work we do is not in vain.
Пока время есть, подумай о многом, путем своим люди идут своей дорогой. Пока время есть, подумай о многом. Спасибо.
8 years ago, I married the man of my dreams, who is Ukrainian. And 100 years ago, when my great-grandparents left Ukraine for a better life in Canada, I came back to Ukraine to start a new life with a Ukrainian, and we took in 4 Ukrainian children, various ages. And our job isn't done yet, because our desire and our hearts are to take in more children. I love Ukraine. I love living here. I love the fact that Ukraine has a future. Even though there's war, even though there's uncertainty here in Ukraine, there's certainty in our hearts that we're changing the future of these children. We're giving them a hope for their future by giving them practical things that they can use for their futures. And they can be changing the country, and the country can be changing the world.